Hello class, welcome to our lesson today dealing with proportions in section 5.2. Remember proportions are two ratios that are set equal to one another or that simplify down to the same thing. So if you want to tell if two rates form a proportion, probably the easiest way is just to divide them out or find how to simplify both of them. So if you look at the first one, 5 feet in 4 hours would be simplified. So the question is, can you simplify 15 feet over 12 hours by, say, dividing both by 3 and seeing if it matches up? You could go through and do the same thing for all of these and simplify and see if they match. Your other option is you could find the unit rate. For example, on number 3, I could take 375 divided by 3 and figure out how much it is per pound. I could also just simplify down and do it that way as well. Either option should get you to the same response. This is a good example with the answers of yes and no, and that not really being acceptable in what we do in our class. Remember, if you're trying to tell whether two rates form a proportion, if the answer is yes, you need to verify why it's yes. If the answer is no, you need to verify why it's no. If this was a question on a test, you should have some work to go with it to explain whether it's yes or no and why it's yes or no. Okay, so a proportion is an equation, so an equation has an equal sign, where two ratios or rates are equal to one another. You may also hear that two quantities are proportional. Okay, that means that they form a proportion or their fractions or ratios would be the same. Okay, tell whether 6 over 4 and 8 over 12 form a proportion. Now you need to make sure that you explain yourself, not just put yes or no. Okay, so one option is to just simplify them. Okay, you get 3 over 2 for 6 over 4, and 8 over 12 becomes 2/3. So that would be a reason why it's no. The problem with this idea is, depending on the situation, this may take a while to figure out if it works or not. Another option that some of you will really like, and one that everyone needs to be comfortable with, is you deal with what's known as cross products or cross multiplying. And what it does is it makes kind of this X here. So you take 6 times 12 and 8 times 4, and you set them equal to one another. And if they equal one another, the answer is yes. And if they don't equal one another, the answer is no. Now, some people say, well, why in the world would I want to do this, or why does it work? One reason why students like to do it this way is because everything's always the same. You could do this on every single problem and do the exact same process. Now, the question of why it works is a little bit more challenging to explain. But it's not hard if you think about it like solving an equation. For example, if this was x over 4, to get rid of divide by 4, I would multiply 4 on both sides, and that would get the times 4 here on the right. This divide by 12, if I wanted to move it to the other side, I would multiply by 12 on both sides and move it to the left. So really all you're doing is taking the denominators and moving them to the opposite sides by multiplication. 10 over 18, 45 over 81. These both simplify down to 5/9, so the answer could be yes that way. Everybody needs to be able to explain the cross product idea in cross multiplying. So I take 10 times 81, and that's 810. And then I take 18 times 45, and that's 810. And if these two things are equal to one another, the answer is yes, they form a proportion. I know you can do it the simplifying way. You may be asked to explain cross multiplication and cross products, so make sure you know how to do that. Next one, tell whether the x and y are proportional. One option is you can kind of look and see, is there a relationship from every x to every y value that's identical. Okay, so for example, all of these are times 6. You could simplify them all down. They all become 1/6. The weird one might be like 1/2 divided by 3. Remember, 1/2 divided by 3 is 1/2 times its reciprocal, and that would be able to find your answer there. Another option, you could cross multiply and see if they match up. The trouble is, if you see that one doesn't match up, just prove that that one doesn't match, and then you can move on. All it takes is one number off, okay, and then x and y would not be proportional. But simplifying is an easy way to show it. Again, you have to explain yourself. Don't just write yes. Don't just write no. Okay, make sure you explain what you're doing in these questions. Okay, the next one, you swim 4 laps in 2.4 minutes. 16 laps in 12 minutes is the number of laps proportional to your time. So if you're at any long distance, running or swimming or things like that, a lot of times you're looking for consistency. You want to run consistent miles or consistent laps swimming. And so the question is, are these proportional or consistent? My suggestion is you just set up a cross multiplication. 4 laps in 2.4 minutes should equal 16 laps in 12 minutes. Just cross it and see if they match. 4 times 12 is 48. 16 times 2.4 is 38.4. So the answer is no. Some laps were faster than the others, or your 16 lap group was a little bit different pacing than the 4 lap. Okay, take a minute and try these out. You can either simplify or do cross multiplication. My suggestion on a few of them, though, is try the cross product idea to be able to explain yourself. No matter what, you have to explain your answer on these questions. Okay, the ones that are yes, if you cross multiply, they would be equal to one another, or when you simplify, they're the same ratio. The ones that are no, when you cross multiply, they did not equal each other, or when you simplify, they didn't equal. The number of birdhouses and nails used is proportional because all of these simplify down to a 1 to 12 ratio, or if you cross multiply, they always are the same. So just make sure that you're working on the cross product idea as we go through this lesson. Okay, your homework here, 1 through 4, 5 through 13 odd, and 21 through 29 odd. Remember, I'm looking for your work here, not just yes or no. Okay, it's going to be unacceptable and probably not counted as complete if all you write is yes or no. That's not very helpful to me. So make sure you work on simplifying. Try some with cross products, even if you don't necessarily want to do that, because long term, the cross multiplying idea is going to be beneficial for you. Have a good day, everyone.